Good morning, genealogy friends. I hope you are well today. For those of you who are in the US, if you're watching this live, I realized that I'm going live at the same time that the inauguration's happening. I thought about rescheduling, but unfortunately my day was crazy enough that it just wasn't going to work out with my schedule. I wasn't going to have any more time for the rest of the day. So if you are joining me live and I'm interrupting that coverage experience for you, then I apologize. And I will tell you, I will record this and I will save it and post it. It'll be on Facebook and on YouTube. So if you want to abandon me and go watch the inauguration, there's absolutely no hard feelings. I don't have any breaking news or anything this morning that you would need to jump right on. Anyways, for the rest of you, let's do this. I'm going to talk about genealogical societies today, but I wanted to share a couple of other things. Oh, that reminds me, there was something that I wanted to share and I forgot to bring it in. So happy Wednesday. Just 1 second. Let's see. Hold on. So sorry. I should have grabbed that before I went live. I wanted to show you something. So you guys who have watched me for a while, you might notice that I have a family historian sweatshirt that I wear a lot. It's one of the ones that I carry in my shop, which I honestly designed just because I wanted them. I know people have bought them, so some of you might have matching sweatshirts, but it's this maroon sweatshirt. It says family historian. Well, I love it. And especially in the winter, I love wearing oversized sweatshirts and leggings. It's like my mom uniform. So I went ahead and I got 2 more, but I wanted to show you. Okay, so this is what the sweatshirt looks like. I have it in maroon, and so I got it in this blue color, and I really like it. I think that's so pretty. And again, it's a big sweatshirt. I got the biggest size that you can, but it has this family historian logo on it. I love it. I was really happy with it. I also ordered the black one. Those are the only 3 colors that I ordered this, or that I offer the sweatshirt in. And it's run through this printing company that is, it's not like my printing company. I run it through a different business. And so when you put the orders in, they actually get the order and they ship it to you. So I opened this sweatshirt and I'm looking at it and I'm like, what is happening? Okay, I don't know if you guys can even appreciate. The sweatshirt it's huge. It is humongous. I like oversized sweatshirts, but my husband and I could both get into this sweatshirt easily. And I am not a small girl. I'm almost 6 feet tall. I have some weight I could lose. My husband and I are about the same size, and we could easily both get into the sweatshirt. Also, the logo, I don't know if you can really tell, it's tiny. So you've got this gigantic sweatshirt with this tiny little logo. This is what it's supposed to look like. This is what it looks like. Is that the weirdest thing you've ever seen in your life? I was fine with it. I'll still wear it. It'll be my extra cozy sweatshirt. But I took the black sweatshirt off of the shop because it does not look like it's supposed to look when you look at it in the picture. And I don't know why, because it's not my company. So now you can only get that sweatshirt in maroon and blue. But I just thought that was so funny when I opened them up. And I'm glad that I got, the 2 together, because I think I would have opened the black one and thought to myself, there's something wrong here, but I can't put my finger on it. But because I opened them together, it's like, well, one of these things is not like the other. So that's sweatshirt news. Okay, talking about the course. So I opened up enrollment for the course on Monday, and a number of you have joined the course. I will apologize. I did severely underestimate interest in the course. I cannot make the course larger than it is for this first group. I did make the course larger than I thought I was going to, and I increased the class size to what was absolutely the outer limits of what I felt I could comfortably handle the first time around. Part of the class is I want to make sure that I'm available to people in the course who are learning how to use Family Tree Notebooks pages, and that I wanted us to have the feeling like we were actually in a class together. I would like the people in the class to get to know each other if they can, because having genealogy friends that can be excited about your history is a really fun part of genealogy. And I wanted to have, that kind of personal class feel. And I didn't think that I could do that with a ton of people. Now I might go through the class and the next time realize that I could have done that for more people, but I won't know until I do it. So I know there were a lot of you who wanted to register and the class was full. There were lots of Facebook messages, lots of emails, and then I could see that there was still quite a bit of traffic going to the page, hours after it had closed, and I was sorry about that. I have a wait list. I am going to add to the wait list. The next time I open the course, I will open it for 24 hours just to people that are on the wait list, and then I'll open it to everybody else. I don't want you to panic about joining the wait list. I'm not running the course again for months, so the wait list you're not going to enroll for months. So you've got plenty of time, and it's not a first come, first serve for the wait list. The entire wait list will just get access to course enrollment before anyone else. So, it's hard for these things where there's limited space because I don't want it to be a stressful experience for you. And I feel like it was kind of it was stressful for me, which was so silly because I'm obviously in the class. But I wanted you all to get in, and I knew that wasn't going to be possible because I was in charge of how big the class was. So in order to make it as not stressful next time as possible, I'm going to have a wait list and for 24 hours, people on the wait list will have a chance to join the class. And I'll send an email out about that later, and I'll try to get back to people who left me messages and things like that. There was a lot to catch up on. Little side note, if you're trying to get a hold of me on Facebook, you can always tag me. It doesn't bother me at all. My Facebook traffic is pretty heavy and moves very quickly, and that's just because I don't know how many of you are heavy Facebook users versus not. I have a lot of Facebook activity. I see stuff from my pages. I see stuff from the groups that I run and that I'm in. I have my personal Facebook stuff, and then I'm also in other groups that don't have anything to do with genealogy. I'm in groups for people with autism or parents of people with autism. I'm in food allergy groups because my daughter has food allergies. Hey, bub.
Hey.
I'm teaching right now. Can you give me 10 minutes?
Sure.
Okay, can you shut the door?
Yeah, but I need to go somewhere else to go to the hallway.
Okay, go the other way.
But the gate is
So sorry.
there.
Oh, I'll come open it. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm in groups of parents with young children. Anyway, so if you leave a post in the Family Tree Notebooks page or in the Family Tree Notebooks genealogy group and you wanted my personal attention and I didn't get back to you, there's a very good chance that I never saw it because of how much content comes through my Facebook. So always feel like you can tag me to get my attention. It won't always work, to be honest. Sometimes if I log in and it's like, you've been tagged in 22 different things, and I don't always get through them all, but I try. Facebook messages are never a good way to reach me. Even when I can find the inbox, I don't always look at it. Email is always better. Carly at Family Tree Notebooks. Email still might take me a minute depending on how many emails I got that day, but at least I know that I'm going to get to that email eventually. I don't know. There might be other news that I wanted to share, but let's get into today's topic because I feel like I've been talking for a bazillion minutes, and I also feel like my children are going to burst through the door like the Kool-Aid Man any second. So last week I was at the course for through the Salt Lake Institute of Genealogy. For those of you who haven't been watching me for really long or aren't that familiar with me, I'm not a professional genealogist. I run a genealogy business, but I don't have accreditation as a genealogist. I haven't taken, university level courses. I have lots of education in other things, and unfortunately, I don't see myself going back to school for genealogy. So all of my learning is from kind of the hobbyist, enthusiast perspective. And the Salt Lake Institute of Genealogy, well, SLIG is what everybody calls it. It is a great place for courses for people from both directions, for people who are professional genealogists and then people who are just enthusiasts who want to know how to do their research more efficiently. So if you've ever been on the fence about taking courses from them because you've been intimidated and you feel like you're maybe not to that level, I would encourage you to at least take a look at them. I think some of the courses are really meant for professional genealogists, but most of them and most of the people that I met through the course are just people who are researching their own families or who are researching, for friends of theirs, but they're not doing it on a professional level. Oh, thanks, Pam. Pam was enjoying my Valentine's decorations. Oh, it looks like some of them fell down. I have an antique Valentine's collection I like to pull out. We got all decorated for Chinese New Year and for Valentine's Day this weekend. Anyway, while I was at SLIG, while I was in the SLIG classes, I met a few people and we started talking about genealogical societies. And one of the people that I met was heavily involved in the California Genealogical Society. So we were talking because I was born in Long Beach, California, but a lot of my family has been in the Bay Area for a long time. My parents both grew up in Napa. And so I have a lot of history in California, family history in California, and especially in the Bay Area. And she was talking about the resources that were available. And I told her, I haven't joined any of the California genealogy societies because I don't live there. And you think it's kind of like joining a club. If they're going to have club meetings and I'm going to be 2,000 miles away, well, that's not going to work. I can't fly in for the monthly meet. As much as I would love to, I can't fly into Oakland for monthly meetings. And she was reminding me that, ever since the pandemic happened, most of that has been moved. Well, for them, all of it has been moved online. They aren't getting together. And so they're having all these member events online, and that there were also other member benefits that I might be interested in. So I started looking into it. So I wanted to bring this up because I feel like if you're in the same boat that I am, where you're thinking, well, it doesn't make any sense for me to join a genealogy society that's not where I live. I did a lot of research this weekend to different genealogy societies, checking out benefits, because after I realized this, there were all sorts of places. My husband's from Ohio, all sorts of places in Ohio, West Virginia, Tennessee, that I research and look for records in, and they all have genealogy societies. And most of the ones that I saw, they are having some kind of digital event. So if you have a lot of family history in a specific area, you might want to look at the genealogy societies that are in that area. So let me tell you about the ones that I'm in, not because you should necessarily join them unless you have the interest, but just to give you sort of a snapshot of the different levels of membership benefits. So the first genealogy society that I joined was the Utah Genealogical Association. Again, thinking I'm here in Utah, so that makes sense, being part of the local club. The UGA is also, that's the UGA and the Salt Lake Institute of Genealogy. I really don't know if it's the Salt Lake Institute of Genealogy or for Genealogy. For some reason, I think it's of. That just sounds really weird to me right now. Sorry. They're basically the same group. It's all the same people. They're separate entities, but they actually share a website and everything. So I joined the UGA because I became involved with SLIG and doing SLIG courses, and I wanted to get to know people in that community. Now, the UGA, it's $35 a year to be part of the UGA, and you get, they put out a publication called Crossroads, and so you get access to the new, Crossroads as they come out, but then you also get access to all of the past issues, which is great, but a lot of them focus on Utah history, which completely makes sense. It's the Utah Genealogical Association. Unfortunately, for my own research, I have a very small part of my family that has any Utah history. There's one part of my stepfather's family who has been in Utah for a while and has Utah roots. But all of my other parents came to Utah as adults. And so I don't have a ton to research here. So a lot of the Utah family that we do have is sort of very specific on how they got here. So a lot of the articles have to do with, pioneers coming in, Utah businesses that have been around for a really long time, things like that. It's all very interesting as a local, but genealogically, it hasn't been really helpful. What has been helpful is that the UGA has webinar recordings that are up. There's a whole list of them that have to do with DNA. And so webinars, these are just classes. These are genealogy speakers like you would see if you went to Roots Tech or if you signed up for a course through SLIG or something like that. And so there's a whole list of them that are talking about DNA, and then there's other recordings they're like part of the member benefits. Once a month they do this recording. And so I think the last month it was one about finding female ancestors, and it's not Utah specific. So that's a good, for $35, you suddenly have access to these courses that if you were at a conference, you would be paying more than that, to be getting the live course. And when you have access to the webinar recordings, then you can stop them, you can rewind them, you can watch them more than once, you can sit there and take notes in your pajamas while eating snacks. which is definitely the way that I apparently enjoy doing conferences, as I found out from SLIG last week. So that's the UGA. Now, the other one that I was already a member of is the National Genealogical Society, the NGS. It's a huge one, and there's lots of people who are members. But I wanted to talk about the membership benefits for that one because, again, if you're not a professional genealogist, then there are going to be societies that have more pull than others. NGS NGS is the most expensive of the ones that I've seen. It's $70 a year, which I still think it's a screaming deal, but obviously I'm very into genealogy. But unlike most of the societies that put out maybe they put out a publication and a newsletter, or maybe they just have, one publication that they put out once a month. NGS has tons of publications. So they have a magazine that you can get either digital or get the print issue. They have, and that's quarterly, so that comes out 4 times a year. But they also have this monthly magazine that comes out digitally. And that's sort of geared towards anybody who's interested in family history. Then they have this thing called Ngs Quarterly, which obviously comes out quarterly. And that's more of a scholarly journal. That's more for people who are professional genealogists. But I think it's fascinating. I really like scholarly journals in general. There's really interesting articles in there. I just think it's great. And all of those publications, when you become a member of NGS, not only do you get the publications, you get access to the archives for all of those publications. And again, back to the bazillions, there's a bazillion digital publications on the NGS website if you're a member that you can look at. And the articles, they're very high level, they're very discerning about what they publish. A lot of them, they actually tend to be on pretty specific topics because people are really zeroing in on one particular thing and then exploring it. But that's great because if you can find an article that is on something about your family, you're likely to find information about that in a really deep, interesting way that you wouldn't find, superficially just searching Google. And then there's other member benefits to NGS. You get a discount on the conference. You get a discount on classes. There's a free class that they have called Family History Skills or something. When you become a member, you can take that for free. I feel like there's other things, but the publications and then discounts on the conference were the reason that I joined NGS, and I think it's great. But if you aren't hardcore into genealogy, that one might be a little bit much for you. And the social part of NGS, I haven't really tapped into, but I've never been to the NGS conference. Now, this year's conference is supposed to be in Virginia. It's supposed to be happening in May. I don't see that happening, but I think they're being optimistic. I have not registered for the conference because unless it's virtual, I'm not going to be in Virginia in May. So consider this my little shout out to the universe that I really think NGS needs to consider leaning into a virtual conference now and getting ready for that, because I don't feel like it's going to happen. But I do think that my hope is that the NGS conference is going to be in person in 2022 and that will happen. And that's happening in Sacramento. And I 100% will be at that if that's an in-person conference. So in that sense, that'll probably be the first time that I'll really be able to meet people just because they're also NGS members. So, okay. So the ones that I joined after meeting people at SLIG were both California based, but let me talk about them. So, the first one I joined was the California Genealogical Society. And if you following me on Instagram, then you might have seen, I mentioned that I joined last week. I joined last Wednesday because Wednesday was the day that I met the woman who was heavily involved and she was talking to me about it. And I want to say Wednesday night, I emailed her back a little audaciously and said, hey, I've noticed that you guys don't have a presence on Instagram. I love Instagram and I'm pretty good at it. How about I build an Instagram account for CGS, for the California Genealogical Society? And the board was so nice about it. They were happy to have me on board as a volunteer. And so I've started that Instagram account. If you go to my Instagram account, you will see that I linked to it recently. I'm excited about it. Come and follow the California Genealogical Society. I'm going to be doing a lot of general genealogy tips and goodness. And then you can find out about events and stuff like that. So actually joining that society as a member, it was $45, but that got me the subscription to their publication, which is called the California Nugget. And then they also have a lot of online events right now. And so some of them are free because I'm a member. And then the other ones, I get a discount for being a member. So that was going to pay off. But the reason that I really wanted to join, like I mentioned, I have a lot of California area history, and they have members only resources that affect my family through their site. So the California Genealogical Society actually has this incredible in-person library that's in Oakland. And they are the oldest genealogy society in California, and they have been working on their library for more than 100 years. They actually had a good library going, and then it was destroyed in the 1906 earthquake in San Francisco, and so they started rebuilding after that point. So that's, for more than 100 years, they've been really dedicated to amassing this huge genealogy library, especially for people who have California roots. And so one of the biggest benefits of being a member would be to be able to go in person and access things that were members only. If you're in the library, you can access subscription sites that you'd have to pay for otherwise. But unfortunately, right now, the library is closed. So it's good that they have online resources, but I think I just want to get used to what they have in their library so that when the library opens, I'm ready to go for a research trip. But after I joined that one, I hope you're still with me. This is kind of like a lot of genealogy society names that I'm throwing at you. I then joined the Southern California Genealogical Society. So there's the California Genealogical Society, in which I'm volunteering, and I've built them an Instagram. And then there's the Southern California Genealogical Society, and that's the group that does the Jamboree, the genealogy conference. It's called Jamboree. And I joined that, again, through somebody that I met at SLIG, talking about it, because for $40, you become a member, and you get, they have their newsletter. It's kind of like the same as the rest. There's a newsletter. You get access to some records that you wouldn't have access to if you weren't a member. Although those ones they're like Los Angeles area records. They're not Northern California, obviously being the Southern California Society. But they have two huge perks that I was really impressed with for $40 a year. One is that you get access to recordings from their past jamborees. So again, it's like being able to access a conference whenever you want to in your pajamas for $40. And it's multiple years of jamborees. There's a lot of videos. I haven't even finished going through them yet. And the other thing is that if you're a member of the Southern California Genealogical Society, you get access to the library edition of MyHeritage from your home. So you don't have to be at the library. You can, as long as you're at home, but you're, logged in as a Southern California Genealogical Society member, you can search MyHeritage. It's the library edition, but I don't have a MyHeritage subscription, so that was a big benefit for me. So even if you didn't have family in California, between the webinars and the MyHeritage access, I think that that's a really good society to join. Obviously, I want you to join the regular California Genealogical Society because it's awesome, and I'm volunteering, and I love the work that they're doing, and I think a lot of their events would work for anybody. But I just think that the Jamboree videos and the MyHeritage thing, that is truly like across the board. If you're interested in family history, that's going to help you out. And the Jamboree videos, from the ones that I've seen, they are, again, tailored more like the audience are just people who are researching their own family, not necessarily professional genealogists, which I feel like is more of the people in this group. Really quickly, I wanted to go through and remind you that, so every state has at least one genealogical society. A lot of them have smaller ones for counties or for areas. So you might want to look, like for Ohio, there's an Ohio Genealogy Society, or Genealogical Society, but then there's also smaller ones that are focused more in specific areas of Ohio that I want to research. Now, some of the states have small genealogical societies, but then there's a larger historical society. I ran into that in Wyoming when I was looking for one to join. There's a genealogical society that's for a county in Wyoming where I don't have any family, but the Wyoming Historical Society actually has a lot of genealogical materials, as you can imagine, and they had a lot of similar benefits to other societies. So if you can't find a genealogy society, look for a historical society, and that might be something where they're having online events that you'd be interested in. And then I did a really quick scan of like topic-specific genealogy societies, just to give you an idea of what might be out there. This list is in no way comprehensive, but I just kind of wanted to get the wheels in your brain turning about other things that you might be interested in researching in, and communities that you might want to join. Because again, I can't tell you how much work I've been able to do because I met somebody at some event and they've said, oh yeah, didn't you know that there's this records database? Or, oh, I had the same brick wall that you have, but this is how I solved it. I love getting together with genealogy people because I am always walking into rooms where everybody around me is smarter than I am, at least about something. That is probably, it's kind of like why I love taking classes. I love the feeling of walking in and not knowing something, but being on the precipice of then finding that thing out. That's probably my favorite sensation as a human. Anyway, focused societies. So I found the Afro-American Historical and Genealogical Society, the German Genealogical Society of America, the Hispanic Genealogical Society, the Italian Genealogy Group, the Orphan Train Heritage Society of America. So interesting. I have no ancestors who are on the orphan train, but I think that whole history is really fascinating. The Polish Genealogical Society of America. And there was also a Polish Genealogical Society of Michigan. So I have to look into those and figure out, do I want to join both of them? Are those the same groups? Are they the same group of people? What's going on there? But again, that was not representative. It was just to show you that there was, I think, 5 or 6 Jewish genealogical societies that I was looking at. And a lot of the societies are having events that are more general right now, if you're just looking to learn about genealogy. So, you might want to consider joining as a member. If you can, you could also, every single society that I saw was looking for volunteers because volunteers help people with research. They help do transcriptions. They help with scanning. When you're in person, sometimes they help with events. The UGA has hosted book signings and a lot of field trips and things like that. I think most of the societies have research trips where members can actually travel together somewhere. I think a lot of societies actually have members who come here to Salt Lake City because they want to research in a group at the Family History Library, which I think is great because the Family History Library is amazing. But when you first walk in, it's a little intimidating because it's big and there's a lot of people, and people are really quick to run up to you and say, is there anything I can help you with? But unless you have, you don't want to walk in and just go, yeah, I want to do some genealogy, because they won't really be able to help you. So I love the idea of going with a group and kind of going in a guided fashion. Like, we are all going to sit here and look at these things and get snacks together and stuff. So again, there's going to be a time when this pandemic is not what it is, and we can all gather together and travel together and things like that. And maybe you'll want to start building those friendships with people in your genealogical societies now, so that when you're ready to travel, you can go and hug them. I have all sorts of people in California that I'm excited to hug now that I didn't know this time last week. So just goes to show. Okay, I've been talking forever, so I will let you guys get back to your days, get back to the inauguration if that's what you're watching. And yeah, I will see you guys tomorrow.